This one's called Say It.
I'm beyond livid.
That's what's been irking me like crazy.
Psycho X.
We hope that he grows from this.
No, legit, I was trying to figure that out also.
Whatever's on our mind, there's something that's been griping.
So, I get to just say it.
That's my question, Marissa. What's good, listeners? This is Say It, because Marissa and I, we're going to be discussing news that's been circulating around the world, more in particular in the nation this week, because you got to go out and vote. This is the Millennial Vote 2022. And I keep hearing, and polls suggest, that Gen Z wave is coming, with young voters on track to match or potentially exceed the record-breaking 2018 youth turnout in a midterm election. And Harvard Law School wants you to know that they're coming.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Eunice.
Where are you off in a rush to?
HPOP actually just released their fall 2022 youth poll.
Harvard Public Opinion Project?
Sorry, everyone. Let's get started. Our fall findings just came in, and here's what they say.
It's time to talk about turnout amongst young voters. Youth turnout is on track to match 2018's historic turnout, with 40% of young Americans reporting that they will definitely be voting.
And to add on top of that, a new report found that millennials represent 1 out of 6 congressional candidates in the midterm elections, and Gen Z is on the ballot for the first time. Marissa, is that enough to make the youth go out and vote? I just don't think so. I'm a little bit skeptical. I don't think these numbers really add up. When I saw that the poll only had like 2,300 people participated, I'm like, did they only get the Harvard grads to participate in this? I mean, does that represent the rest of the nation?
I actually had a joke, but I'm going to answer your question, and I have like a dual joke. It was pretty funny.
Okay.
All right. I am dismayed at how many people don't know how important midterm elections are. They are local ordinances that get passed, stuff that directly affects where you live, how much taxes you're paying, leads into the next from the Congress and the Senate. There's so much that goes into it, and I've seen barely any ads that focus on trying to get millennials or Z-Gen out there. And that wasn't cringy. The stuff I'm seeing, I'm kind of like, how old do you think we all are?
Like the social media stuff is very cringe. And I think you're absolutely getting onto something, Marissa. When you think about, what the millennial mindset is, do they even know who's running? What offices are up for election? And I know I can only speak for California, but the only TV commercials that we ever see being aired on, our static screen are, for dialysis, which I'm sorry, I'm going to have to break it to you, baby boomers. We don't give a shit. That's not our age demographic. Lyft and Gavin Newsom having a war of words because Lyft's saying that, we don't want to force our rideshare drivers to go electric cars by 2030, while Newsom's claiming that, this is going to be a tax grab. And then Indian tribes telling us that, sports gambling is bad on the phone because it's going to encourage kids to gamble. So even when I'm saying this, Marissa, and then you see all these cringy, dance videos, like I even saw Beto O'Rourke is doing like a cringy TikTok dance this morning, trying to tell people, to go out there and vote. Like, I guess my point is, even when you do these dance videos, we don't know necessarily what we're voting on.
I guess what my frustration is when I see people treat younger people, right, as idiots. Like, it actually really frustrates me, because that's why I hate the TikTok, the cringe. I know you have videos later on about other stuff. I don't want to spoil it now, but it really frustrates me because we actually I'm an older generation on here, but I've talked to people younger, and they are smart and they can take substance, but they also are being treated like they should just be told how to vote, not what is actually at stake.
Exactly. And I think that's why it is a bit alarming. And that's why, I think this is a perfect segue, Marissa, because you're already starting to jump on it. So let's go ahead and talk about it, because weeks before the midterm election, President Joe Biden invited 8 TikTok stars with a combined following of more than 67 million who were brought to the White House in hopes that their posts will turn out votes for Democrats. So you can clearly see here, President Biden's participating in the selfies. Also, we got them here inside the White House, which I don't know why. This photo gives me so much cringe. I just can't stand that they're all just so glued to their phone. And then lastly, they grab former President Barack Obama to join in and encourage the youth to go out and vote. And it turns out that the New York Times reports that a lot of the creators talked about, quote, how they didn't get a lot of civics education in school. They were excited to learn about the structure of government and see it in person. So that's why they grabbed former President Barack Obama in a last-minute effort to get out the vote, and he joined in on the cringe. So if you haven't seen it, you're going to see it now.
Hey, what are you doing under my desk?
Well, under the desk is kind of my thing. I mean,
But here's the thing. You can stay for now, but when it comes time to voting, you're going to have to get up because you can't stay here. You're going to have to take a little bit of time to vote.
is now a bad time to say that I voted for McCain in 2008?
As long as you voted, it's okay.
Go to iwillvote.com and I will see you at the polls.
Yeah, it's just straight cringe, in my opinion, Marissa. I mean, I think
just-
I'm totally won over. This is it. This is the video that's going to make me vote.
No, I can't with Obama. It would have been funnier because when I saw this, all I could think about, hey, what are you doing under my desk saying that from a president is Monica Lewinsky? And I wish that would have been referenced in some way. I'm like, because
What if just you see Bill Clinton crawling under?
Something. I was like, it actually like makes me laugh so hard and takes away from what they're trying to do. Because I'm like, who approved this? And wasn't like most of the older people are going to be like,
well, I mean, I think it goes exactly to what you were just saying now, Marissa. I mean, I know that you're, saying that, hey, I get upset when I see these kind of videos because it really seems like our older politicians view us as being dumb. Well, I hate to break it to you. It seems like we are kind of dumb. Even the new Gen Z wave. I mean, we even have one influencer even in this New York Times.
They're being treated as dumb.
Well,
I'm sorry. If you treat somebody like they are idiotic, and you continuously treat them like they are idiotic, they will believe they are idiotic.
Well, I'll tell you
It's
what's
just
really
something
idiotic was one influencer, Nia Sooks. She's 21. She's an actress and creator with over 8.3 million followers on TikTok. She realized, Marissa, that her young followers were confused by the references of midterms in her post, and they thought that she was talking about her UCLA midterm exams. So why are we so ill-educated on civics and the midterm elections in America?
I can say that midterms aren't happening right now, so I could understand a confusion. I can understand it. Doesn't excuse it.
So what are you suggesting? A different date?
No, what I'm suggesting is that they actually have a required civics course like they used to. I got my civics from a Schoolhouse Rock class or song in elementary school, got nothing in high school. And I firmly believe politicians do not want educated youth in their business, because if they did, they might be out of business.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, we know that the average age of people in Congress is 76 years old. If we want real change to happen within our generation, well, first off, you got to go out and vote. And then second, we actually started to see some of our own generational people get into the mix and actually start running for these positions in office. And yeah, Marissa, I think you're bringing up a great point. I mean, I think every school in America needs to go inside the closet, dust off those carded mounted TVs, with the VCR beneath it. And we need to start playing Schoolhouse Rock, because I know that I'm just a bill. I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here waiting on Capitol Hill. Okay, I'm done. We're not doing that no more. But you get the point.
Hey, any of you who don't know, if you haven't seen the bill from Schoolhouse Rock, please go to YouTube right now. It's on there. You will actually learn more about how our government works or doesn't work from that song than you will in any of your classes.
Because, Marissa, I feel like you might be in the same boat. I know, like, my older brother Casey's always talking about with his friends who have kids. They're always so sick of playing Baby Shark all the time. I mean, shit, you might learn something while your kid learns something. So go ahead and play Schoolhouse Rock. I mean, it's always got a lot of the great jams.
There is like over 100 versions of Baby Shark. Sorry, if you were a parent.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
how much Baby Shark is out there.
So I think if the American media was right, they would go ahead and create a new modern version of Schoolhouse Rock. I think we have to highly, let's go for it, because I mean, obviously, the youth, the millennials, Gen Z wave. Yeah, were you going to say something, Marissa?
I was, and it was actually about the Obama. I'm just going to backtrack real quickly on that. One thing that drove me absolutely nuts about it is, you know what? Why did they not bring up the fact that you can mail in your vote? So if you want to stay under a table and be agoraphobic and not leave, you can actually still vote. And
well, again,
know
the
it
funniest part was that host B who runs his show under the desk. I love how he puts out that big sigh. Like, I gotta get out and move
And I
my
get
ass
it.
out
Look,
and go ahead and vote.
This
But
generation has a problem with agoraphobia because COVID mask. I know more young people who continuously will wear a mask, not because of a health thing, but because they can hide behind it.
yeah, I would say that's a
There's
very
lot.
tiny number. But then again,
I don't know. I see
we
a
definitely
lot.
gotta move. We definitely got to move on, Marissa, because I definitely want to bring up the fact that young people are increasingly getting their news and information from content creators on TikTok, surveys show. And the percentage of people who consume news on TikTok has tripled since 2020. And over 26% of adults under 30 regularly get news on TikTok, according to a recent survey by the Pew Research Center. So now, this week, the FCC commissioner, Brandon Carr, wants to ban TikTok. And it's hilarious because all we keep hearing about is how Elon Musk acquiring Twitter is like the new bad thing. Like, he's a prophet with no government. Why do we not put the same focus on TikTok after all these findings that we know about them? I just don't understand how Twitter has become so political.
The TikTok stuff actually really does worry me. It worried me before when it was brought up during Trump's presidency. And now, you have to see if you're worried about Elon Musk as the owner of Twitter, and this is why you're off. Who owns TikTok? It is, and I'm not trying to bash Chinese, so please understand this, but it's owned by China. China and America are not buddies when it comes to our economy. So if you're going to have disinformation, but if you're going to have disinformation being sent, let me tell you who's not going to moderate it. TikTok. Why would they want to moderate it when it's in their favor? I'm sorry, you have to look at the economy of who owns something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
benefiting.
we've been pressing, obviously TikTok and also the other company called ByteDance.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two big things. It's no secret. More than 200 million downloads of TikTok has been inside the United States alone, and the FCC doesn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm not saying about FCC, but even like. It just came out a report last week that has proven that TikTok has been tracking our high officials, which is probably Obama because he's on there, right? Or whatever it is, trying to be cool and relevant. China is tracking our high political.
So why aren't we
The
making
problem.
actions now? Because, the FCC, they can't authorize this. It would have to be a government move. And I started thinking about it, and I can see why millennials like to go on TikTok because of the fat asses and the big titty women. I mean, sure. I mean, it's just like how we're joking with Drake and 21 Savage. Shit, start a book club inside the strip club. But do you think it's because Democrats aren't necessarily fighting to remove TikTok because they maybe don't want to give former President Donald Trump any more ammunition, saying that he was right all along? Because
I actually agree. Yeah.
Because remember now, it was an FCC commissioner who got that was a Republican who got stopped by a Democratic judge, and now this FCC commissioner is a Democrat appointed who's now calling for the ban. So I guess my second follow-up question is, Marissa, because we're kind of playing conspiracy a bit. If Republicans, let's say, for example, get control of the Senate, will we see our government get involved with banning TikTok? Because I want to say, I believe conservatives are clout chasing, and they won't actually do anything if they do get the Senate seat.
I think it can go two ways. I think it would depend on, regardless of who's in the Senate. I do not believe that Republicans are going to come in and then just be like, that's right, we're going to go ahead and stick it. If there is anything that bans for TikTok, it'll be because of national security, which is why that report was really big last week, coming out saying that.
But we've had this national security for over like a year now. That's what I'm just saying. It'll be interesting to see if the conservatives actually make a move because, we got Parler, we got Truth Social. A lot of people put a lot of energy into Elon Musk acquiring Twitter. It's just like, I just feel like once Republicans, possibly get control, I see this kind of being swept under the rug.
It could, but see, this is where I kind of disagree. I think that we're going to hear more about it, and I think whether it's Democratic or Republican, right now we're not hearing anything because, especially, like they're trying to use that platform.
Well, I guess that's the point that I'm making. It's like
after the midterms, there's a very big possibility it could get
this is
banned.
being heavily pushed this week. and we're
I
not
know.
hearing about it. So we're going to have to see what's good, but we got a lot of things that we want to talk about, right, Marissa? I mean, there's a
Yes.
lot of big things. And I know the Supreme Court, the most diverse court in the nation's history, is weighing in on affirmative action that uses race among many factors in seeking a diverse student body on college campuses. And has America outgrown affirmative action? I believe so. I believe in the year 2022. I don't think it's necessary to put more race policies in when, to me, it feels like when you do that, it only creates more racism. How do you feel, Marissa, when it comes to this? I know that you're kind of a scholarly teacher. I mean, I remember at Cal State LA that even the internships were being affected. I mean, there would be women of color present, in film. And it's like, okay, well, I will never be able to take this canon class if I don't identify as a certain gender or a certain race, or unless if I come out and I check the non-equitable, for my gender, I say I'm an intersex, then I'm able to get inside the course.
No, I think it's a hard thing because affirmative action was needed. You needed to use it to break down barriers, opening up doors, integrating, right? We're a segregated country. It was definitely needed. Where we are now within our universities, right? I think the focus can be shifted now from saying, hey, you're this race that you identify with, right? Because you don't even have to look black if you identify as black, right? Which happens to a lot of light-skinned black people, right? That their identification comes from there versus a skin color. But if you're really worried about opportunities, it becomes more of a social-economic. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to put you in these race-based things and then give you more points, so what happens is off of point base. This is why Harvard's being sued by people, especially by a group of
well, yeah, there's a UC Berkeley kid, Calvin,
lower.
who's an Asian American who's upset. UNC, North Carolina. Let's go ahead and share those comments, though, real quick, Marissa, because I mean, this is a very real thing that is being shared across Twitter. And one of the comments was, everyone agrees that affirmative action in the NBA would ruin basketball, and affirmative action in the NFL would ruin football. Turns out affirmative action in engineering and medicine has a similar effect. This should surprise no one. Also, we have a gal here named Vanessa, and she says, I know affirmative action factored into my admission at Harvard Law. And guess what? I wear the badge proudly. I've deserved a chance to be there, and so do many whose parents weren't alums or wealthy upper management. Do they really think affirmative action only has to apply to people who are alums or wealthy upper management?
And that's where the talk now comes from. That's what I'm talking about. It really is about, look, it's a socioeconomic issue more about allowing someone who does not have a connections, does not have the money to get in, to be able to have the same opportunities regardless of race. And I think that's where our universities now are, is looking not at like, I'm going to let you in over this person because of your race, because it's a point base. And if you are in a certain race category, you have different points. So that is accurate. But instead of saying that, being like, look, here's your social economics. If we want to make this diverse, then it's really bringing in people from a lower income into these universities and not charging out of
that's absolutely right, Marissa.
For student loans. And I think that's where we're actually heading, and that's what's on the discussion.
I think that's a good
not
point.
Not about keeping black or brown.
We could go on in this forever, and I don't mean to cut you off. I have a lot of more issues that I want to bring up because, this is the Millennial Vote 2022. And I know that just 26 out of 193 countries that agreed last year to step up their climate actions have followed through with more ambitious plans. The world's top two polluters are now us, the United States, and China. So India is now looking pretty good and have taken some action, but have not pledged more this year. And the climate negotiations between the both of us, China and the United States, has been frozen for months. So it kind of starts to feel like this whole green revolution is sort of a lie. My whole question that I'd like to discuss with you, Marissa, is it's like, why don't we ever talk about infrastructure as being a positive for climate change? This seems like something that we can act on now. I mean, I was reading a story in the San Francisco Chronicle that was talking about over the summer, they have all this new harmful algae bloom that's happening in the San Francisco Bay. You know why that's happening, CCS family? That's because your poop and pee is siphoning out of these aged old pipes, which is just mind-boggling to me. We have no problem, Marissa, sending $800 million to Ukraine, yet even the Jackson water crisis has still never been touched ever since Obama drank the glass out of the water. I mean, it's ridiculous in my opinion.
Ukraine needs help. People are dying, right? I mean, it's a real thing. But
There's people dying here too
No, I
from, unhealthy
understand, but
water.
it's a
They
war.
can't even
It's a
take a
little different.
shower.
Yeah, it's a war though. But so I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know, but you know,
I'm
it's the
gonna
same
apples and
thing. No,
oranges
but
this,
but also,
but we
Marissa,
have
we're
to
the
go.
same. We're in an administration, the Biden administration, who pulled out of the war in Iraq to stop being Big Brother. Yet we continue to be Big Brother for Ukraine. And I know that there's a lot of Americans
little more at
here
stake than
that
a
are
Big Brother. I
upset that
disagree.
we're not getting any action applied. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to, have a really big worldview on climate change, but these are actions that can happen now here in the States.
Unfortunately, in America, in the States, if you are in an area that is poor and not profitable, you will not have good infrastructure, which is why you had the Flint problem. This is why you have the Jackson water problem, because our political system of helping our country is broken. I agree with you in the sense that we're sending out money, but this is a global world thing. So that's why I'm like,
well,
I
okay,
want to try apples and oranges.
Okay, that's fine. If that's your view, that's totally fine. I'm not gonna, hate you for it. But I think about people like Governor Gavin Newsom's plan. He wants to ban the sale of gas-powered vehicles by 2035. And just here in the state of California alone, our power grids continuously kept failing, and we had more routine flex alerts. So why push for more and aggressive Green New Deals when, again, you can upgrade the infrastructure throughout the country? I just don't understand. I mean, there was even a crazy story back in August, where there was a person who was quoted by a consumer to replace his 2012 Chevrolet Volt battery for $30,000. And here's the tweet that was fact checked by PolitiFact. I mean, this is a 2012 car. If they can't bring down, the electric car prices, forget convincing me to buy one.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, here's my problem with, like, how do we fix the infrastructure, right? How do we go in? There are ways to do it. Do you know how many times I have voted to fix our infrastructure and I pay more taxes? And you know what never happened? Our roads still have potholes. We do not have public transportation. What about that train to Frisco? That had still never happened millions of dollars later, right? So I am now at a point in my life where it says if I have to pay more money in taxes, I'm going to vote no. I'm sorry. I'm struggling so hard to get gas in my car, and the last thing I want to do.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, why get so ambitious with like numerous Green New Deals when we could just focus on the tiny minute stuff? It
and
just
if they're going to
drives me up
focus
a
on
wall.
it, how about they actually focus on it versus taking our tax dollars and buying a new house?
And Marissa, let's go ahead and talk about that focus, because I know one of the biggest things that I want to end the Millennial Vote 2022 is, what is our generation focusing on? A lot of things that I kept seeing, within the last month, going into the midterm elections was really, abortion being a major issue, being debated on both the left and the right. But myself personally, I have to speak for myself. I can't speak for, the millennial generation, but abortion necessarily to me doesn't come across as a huge topic for myself personally, again, only because I feel like our generation is so progressive. Like we're already behind, protecting women, the women's right to choose. I just feel like
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We don't have time to really go into it, and I wish we did. It's a big deal. It is a really big deal.
Okay, well, go ahead. You still have time. You got about 30 seconds.
30 seconds is really hard to come into it. I'm gonna tell you now, it is a big deal. Regardless of where you are on the line about it, this is a big deal. And to ignore it is shame on you.
Well, I don't think anybody's ignoring it. I never said that I was. I never said. I just said I don't think it's the main topic, because I think that our millennial generation, including the Gen Z wave, is already progressive. We're already behind it. So that doesn't mean that I'm ignoring the issue. I'm just telling you right now, Marissa, most conversations that get started today is the cost of living, but we have to end it there. Marissa, this has been a lot of fun. But again, Marissa and I, we would both say, while we're both on camera, go out and vote. Please go out and vote. Is your civic duty, whether you don't even know your civic education.